I just turned 18 years old, and at my birthday party, while everyone was eating cake, my dad pulled me into the hallway. He whispered, "When this is over, you're going to sign some papers for your uncle. Just a formality." I smiled. I nodded. And then I walked into the kitchen, opened my laptop, and quietly moved my entire future somewhere they couldn't follow. By the next morning, the cabin, the savings, the land, everything my grandparents left behind, was locked behind a legal wall that my own father couldn't break. He turned white. My uncle started screaming into his phone, and my little sister just looked at me like she didn't recognize our family anymore. But before I tell you what happened next, let me take you back 6 years, to a summer at a lake, to a conversation I didn't understand until last night. The summer I turned 12, my grandfather picked me up in his old truck. We drove 40 minutes out to a lake called Cedar. His cabin sat back from the water, surrounded by pine trees so tall they blocked the afternoon sun. The porch sagged on one side. The screen door never closed right, but it smelled like wood smoke and old books, and something sweet I could never quite name. "Grab the other end," my grandpa said, handing me a fence rail. We spent the morning replacing rotted posts. He didn't rush me. He showed me how to press my thumb into the wood to check for soft spots. "If it gives, it's done," he said. Inside, my grandma had iced tea and sandwiches waiting on the kitchen table, the one my grandpa built himself the year they got married. We sat on the porch and watched the lake until the light turned gold. That evening, wiping sawdust off his hands, my grandpa said something I've never forgotten. "This cabin stays in the family," he told me. "But family isn't always blood. Family is whoever shows up." I was 12. I thought he was being poetic. He wasn't. That whole summer I came back every weekend. I learned where the water heater leaked, which window stuck, how to bleed the radiator. In the fall, my grandma taught me to organize the bookshelves by color because she said it made the room feel warmer. My grandpa showed me the property line markers, old iron stakes he hammered in himself. I didn't know it then, but he was already talking to a lawyer about this place, about me. Back home, the air was different. Our house was fine. 3 bedrooms, a yard that needed mowing. Not warm, just fine. My little sister had the bigger bedroom, redecorated, lavender walls, a desk lamp that cost more than my entire bookshelf. My room still had the carpet from the previous owners. At dinner one night, my dad brought up the cabin. "That place is just sitting there losing value," he said. "Property taxes alone are killing us. We should sell it, reinvest." My mom nodded. "Makes sense." "Grandpa said the cabin stays in the family," I said. My dad laughed. Not a mean laugh. Worse, a dismissive one. "You were 12, he said. He was just being nice. Nobody asked me anything else. The conversation moved to my sister's debate trophy. Very impressive. My mom had already framed the certificate. I had won the district science fair 2 weeks earlier. The ribbon was still in my backpack. After dinner, I cleared the plates. On the counter, half hidden under a grocery list, there was a glossy flyer. It said Ridgeline Development, lakefront lots, premium prices, now acquiring. There was a handwritten phone number in the margin. I didn't recognize the handwriting, but it wasn't my dad's. I put the flyer back exactly where I found it. Upstairs, I sat on my bed and thought about my grandpa's kitchen table. The one he built with his hands. The one where my grandma set my sandwich without asking what I wanted, because she already knew. I thought about the flyer downstairs. Someone was already measuring my grandparents' home in dollar signs. 2 years later, my grandpa died. I was 14. The funeral was on a Tuesday. Gray sky, damp grass, folding chairs that sank into the lawn. I sat in the second row holding his handkerchief. Blue plaid, frayed at the edges. It still smelled like pine. At the reception, I saw my dad and my uncle standing by the dessert table. They weren't eating. They were talking low. My uncle had a folder tucked under his arm. My dad kept nodding. I caught one sentence. "We should move on this before probate gets complicated." They were talking about the cabin at the funeral. I said nothing. I was 14. I had no power, no voice, and no idea that my grandfather had already accounted for this exact moment. 2 more years passed. I was 16. My grandma got sick in March and was gone by June. She held my hand the last time. I visited. Her grip was surprisingly firm. "The cabin is yours," she whispered. "Don't let them take it. Promise me." "I promise, Grandma." She squeezed once and closed her eyes. After the funeral, another gray day, same folding chairs. My dad sat at our kitchen table and said to my mom, "Now we can finally sort out the property." He said it with relief, like something heavy had just lifted. That same evening, my uncle called. I heard my dad on the phone in the garage, pacing. Yeah, no, I agree. Let's get it moving. His voice was lighter than it had been in weeks. I was standing in the hallway holding a glass of water, and I realized something that sat in my chest like a stone. My grandmother's death wasn't a loss to them. It was a clearance. I didn't cry that night. I made a different kind of decision. I just didn't know how to act on it yet. So there I was, 16 years old, my grandmother barely cold in the ground, and my dad and uncle were already circling the cabin like sharks. But here's the thing about being 16. Nobody takes you seriously. You're not a child anymore, but you're not an adult either. You're just invisible. People talk in front of you like you're furniture, and my family talked, a lot. Between 16 and almost 18, the cabin became my quiet rebellion. Every Saturday morning, I drove out to Cedar Lake in the used Honda I bought with babysitting money. I patched the porch screen. I replaced the weather stripping on the back door. I swept pine needles off the roof because my grandpa taught me that's how leaks start. I wasn't just fixing a cabin. I was learning every inch of it, so that when someone tried to take it, I would know exactly what they were trying to steal. At home, the conversation shifted. The cabin stopped being Grandpa's place and started being the family property. My dad said that at dinner one night like it had always been true. My uncle started showing up more often, every other Sunday, sometimes with manila folders, sometimes with a laptop open to real estate listings. I tried once, just once. I said, "What about Grandma's wish?" She wanted me to keep it. My mom put down her fork, gently, the way she does before correcting someone. "Your grandmother was emotional at the end, sweetie. This is business. Business." That's the word they used for everything that used to be love. By 17, my dad got more direct. "When you turn 18, he said, we'll figure this out as a family." The way he said family, I knew it meant my way. One afternoon, alone at the cabin, I was cleaning out the hall closet. Behind a stack of old quilts, I found a sealed envelope, my grandmother's handwriting, my name on the front. Inside, a single business card, an attorney's name, and below it, printed in small type, 3 words that changed everything. Family trust. My hands started shaking. Not from fear, from recognition. My grandmother left this here for me to find. She knew I'd be the one cleaning out closets. Not my dad. Not my uncle. Me. I slipped the card into my wallet. I didn't call. Not yet. 3 months before my 18th birthday, that attorney called me first. The call came on a Thursday evening in February. I was in my room doing homework when my phone showed an unknown number. Local area code. "Iris, this is Margaret Caldwell. I was your grandparents' attorney." Her voice was steady, professional, careful, like someone who had rehearsed this opening. "I need to speak with you before your birthday. There are things you need to know, and there isn't much time." She told me to meet her at her office downtown, alone. So I went. Margaret Caldwell was in her late 50s. Silver hair, reading glasses on a chain around her neck. Her office was small, organized, and smelled like old paper and coffee. She sat across from me and opened a folder. "Your grandparents hired me 6 years ago," she said. "They established an irrevocable trust. The cabin, a savings account, an investment portfolio. Total value, approximately $2.1 million. All of it is held in the trust. You are the sole beneficiary." The room tilted. "Your grandparents left you everything. They transferred it into the trust while they were alive. Legally, it never entered their estate. It can't go through probate. Your father and uncle have no claim." She slid a document across the desk. My name on the second line. The title to the cabin was recorded under the trust at the county recorder's office 6 years ago. "Your father doesn't know that. Why didn't they tell him?" Margaret paused. Then she said something I will never forget. "Your grandfather said, and these are his exact words, 'My sons will sell that cabin before the funeral flowers wilt.'" The room was quiet. I stared at the paper with my name on it. "There's something else," Margaret said. "Someone has been making inquiries at the county recorder's office about the cabin's title. Within the last month, I started paying attention after that meeting, not suspiciously, just quietly. The next Sunday, my uncle came over for dinner. Afterward, he and my dad disappeared into the garage. The door was open a crack. Not enough to see, but enough to hear. "I already signed the purchase agreement with Ridgeline," my uncle said. $450,000. "But we need the title clean before closing." "How do we get it clean?" my dad asked. "Quit claim deed. Your parents are gone. We're the legal heirs. We quit-claim the property to ourselves, record it, and sell. Is that legal? It's a standard real estate transfer between heirs. Nobody's going to question it. A pause. Then my dad, quieter. What about Iris? My chest tightened. My uncle's answer came fast, like he had already thought about it. She's 17. She can't do anything. And by the time she's 18, the sale goes through. Done deal. She'll be upset. She'll get over it. We'll give her a cut. 50 grand for college. She should be grateful. I stepped back from the garage door. My hands were cold. My uncle had already signed a purchase agreement, $450,000, with a development company, for a cabin he didn't own, on land held in a trust he didn't know existed. That night I sat on my bed and texted Margaret 2 words. They're accelerating. Her reply came in 3 minutes. I expected that. Come see me Saturday. We'll prepare everything you need. Saturday. Margaret's office. She laid out the timeline on a legal pad, drawing lines between dates like a battle plan. The cabin title is already under the trust, she said. If your uncle files a quitclaim deed, the county recorder should reject it because the chain of title won't match. The property hasn't been in your grandparents' personal name for 6 years. But if he submits additional documentation, an affidavit of heirship, maybe a falsified death certificate, he could create what's called a cloud on title. It won't give him ownership, but it could tie the property up in litigation for a year or more. So I have to act first. You have to act on time. She tapped the calendar. The moment you turn 18, you're a legal adult. You can formally accept the role of successor beneficiary. Once you sign, I file a notice of legal interest at the county recorder's office first. Thing the next morning. That freezes the title. Nobody can record anything against it. What do I need to do? Show up. Sign 1 document. I'll handle the rest. I sat with that for a moment. Should I tell my parents? Margaret took off her glasses. Your grandfather specifically asked me to protect you, Iris, not to negotiate with them. I drove home. My dad was in the kitchen, cheerful. Good news, kiddo, he said. I'm throwing you a birthday party. Whole family. Saturday night. It's a big one. 18. He smiled. My mom smiled. Even my little sister clapped. I smiled too. My dad was planning my birthday party. My uncle was planning to sell my grandmother's cabin. And I was sitting at the kitchen table smiling, because in 9 days, I was going to let them think everything was going exactly according to their schedule. Here's the truth. Sitting in my room that night, knowing what was coming, it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. Part of me wanted to walk downstairs and just say it. Dad, I know. But Margaret was right. If I tipped them off, they'd find another way around it. So I stayed quiet, and I waited. 5 days before my birthday, my mom sat next to me on the couch, using her, let's talk like adults voice. Now that you're almost 18, she said, there are some family decisions we should make together. Together, the word landed like a costume. The cabin costs money to maintain. Your dad's business is struggling. If we sell, we could pay off the debt and set up a college fund for you and your sister. Grandma wanted me to keep it. My mom's expression shifted. Just for a second. Impatience quickly smoothed over. Your grandmother was sentimental at the end. Iris, sentiment doesn't pay property taxes. That night, my little sister knocked on my door. She sat on the edge of my bed. Mom and Dad keep talking about the cabin after I'm supposed to be asleep, she said. They sound different. Like they're planning something. Is something going on? I pulled the blanket over her feet. Don't worry about it. She nodded, but she didn't look convinced. The night before my birthday, I drove to the cabin alone. The road was quiet. Cedar Lake sat flat and dark under a half moon. I parked in the gravel patch my grandpa leveled himself, walked up the porch steps, sat in the chair next to the one that used to be his. At midnight, I opened my laptop. Margaret was on video call, reading glasses on, a stack of papers lit by a desk lamp. Ready? She asked. Ready. I signed the acceptance form. Single page. My name in ink. My grandparents' names in print above mine. From that second forward, every decision about the trust ran through me. At 8 the next morning, Margaret walked into the county recorder's office. She filed a public notice that froze the title. Done. 2 hours later, my dad and uncle walked into the same office with their quitclaim deed. The clerk typed the parcel number into the system. Read the screen. Typed again. Then she stopped. I can't record this document, she said. This property is held under an irrevocable trust. My uncle's face drained white. My dad just stood there, silent. The call came at 9:22. I was sitting on the porch, What did you do? My dad asked. His voice was tight, shaking. I accepted what Grandma and Grandpa left me. This is my parents' property. I'm their son. They didn't trust you with it, I said. The silence that followed was the longest of my life. My uncle lost everything. The development company sued him. The state suspended his license. He's looking at charges for a forged document. My dad didn't contest the trust. He couldn't. He sold his store at a loss. My mom went back to work. And me? I enrolled at the community college, environmental science. I live at the cabin now, the one my grandpa built, the one my grandma protected. This morning, I sat on the porch with coffee. Watched the mist lift off the lake. Thought about the letter my grandpa left me. His last line said, "Take care of it. It took care of you first." I kept my promise. And honestly, that's the only thing that matters. If you're listening to this and you feel like nobody's in your corner, hear me. Sometimes the people who protect you aren't the ones standing in front of you. Sometimes they planned for you years ago, quietly, without telling anyone. All you have to do is show up, sign the paper, and keep the promise. Thanks for listening.